Good morning, everyone. We are proud to be here today to give you the rundown on a recent joint powers agreement that has been signed collectively between our Minneapolis Police Department, our city, of course, the Minnesota State Patrol, and the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Right now, on the topic of public safety, partnerships are crucial, and so it is essential that we are working together in a multi-jurisdictional fashion. And it's also important that we're not just sitting on our hands and waiting for the summer to come before the work gets underway. And so for months now, we've been planning and working alongside the state of Minnesota to make sure that we have the resources that we need going into these warmer summer months. And so what we're announcing is a partnership, again, with the Minnesota State Patrol that will operate in shifts on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday afternoons and evenings, as well as the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which has already been providing a number of investigators that are embedded with our investigative team starting in early April, and then we'll certainly be proceeding through the summer. Getting this additional support at this crucial time is so necessary. To have additional investigative teams that are working on a consistent basis to make sure that we've got a laser-like focus on catching perpetrators of violent gun crimes and making sure that we've got the right law enforcement that's in place, ready to go, especially through those Thursday, Friday, and Saturday timeframes, is going to be really important. And this partnership is not just limited, of course, to the city and the state. As you heard just yesterday, or the day before, our newly sworn-in United States Attorney, and Andy Lugar, is also going to be devoting a number of prosecutorial staff and attorneys to making sure that perpetrators of these violent gun crimes are caught, investigated, and then, of course, prosecuted, which is their part. We're working on expanding our Office of Violence Prevention and Intervention programming, which is both through ARPA as well as through our budget to make sure that we are sussing out some of these horrible actions before they take place, and we're intervening with community as our partners to make sure that we're collectively attacking safety. We're expanding lighting and making sure that we're eliminating the backlog of some of these street lights that have been out. Look, it's easier to commit crime, it's easier to do something wrong if it's dark, and so we're expanding on those resources as well. And then finally, our Office of Community Safety that we are in the process of setting up to integrate our strategies around community safety. That work is ongoing. So brick by brick, we are laying the foundation for safety going into the summer. I want to give a huge thank you to the state of Minnesota, the Department of Public Safety, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and of course, Governor Walz. A big thank you to the governor for working with us towards this particular agreement. We think it's going to make a big difference when we really need it through these summer months in Minneapolis, and we are really extremely appreciative. And so we can give a little bit more of a rundown as to what these additional resources are going to look like through Deputy Chief Waite, who is here with us. But first, I want to turn it over to Councilmember Vita, who has been working really diligently around the issues of public safety in her North Minneapolis Ward 4. She's been a great partner, and I'm proud to bring up Councilmember Latricia Vita.
Good morning, everyone. As the mayor said, I'm Councilmember Latricia Vita. I represent the 4th Ward, and also I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee. I am really excited that we are announcing this partnership today because one of the things we've heard in North Minneapolis a lot is where is support coming from throughout the state of Minnesota for the needs that we have around public safety in North Minneapolis in particular. So as we head into the summer, this is great news for our city and especially the residents of North and South focus zones. We have asked for this partnership with the state to ensure that we are all working together to keep Minneapolis communities safe. I can speak specifically on the impacts that this will have in North Minneapolis. You know, we have quite a few hot spots, and so it is going to be great to have additional support in those areas. We're really focused on making sure folks feel safe in our communities and that they feel free to go about their regular daily activities, and this help is going to make sure that we start taking the steps to make sure that that is happening. I'm grateful for the governor and the Minnesota Department of Public Safety for partnering with us on this initiative. It's important not only for our city, but for the Twin Cities and Minnesota. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, council member, and I also want to note that we're joined by a number of community members from both north and south side. Donna Nesty, Earlsworth, Lee Tang, Winter Simpson, and Tawan Nunn are with us here today, and a couple of them you will hear from shortly. But first I want to hand it over to our Deputy Chief Kathy Waite, who has been helping to move this process along, and we're very appreciative of her work.
Good morning. I want to take this time to let you all know that Interim Chief Huffman is sending her regards. Regretfully, she could not be here today. She is out in Washington, D.C. In a meeting with the ATF, so you have me. She asked that I share a few words of appreciation for the joint efforts that we're all taking to address public safety issues as we begin to roll into the warm summer months that are quickly approaching. As command staff, we continue to take great pride and appreciation for the courageous efforts from the Minneapolis police officers. The things that they do each and every day have been nothing short of heroic. Every day we hear stories of bravery about the officers on the streets serving our community and bringing peace to otherwise extremely dangerous situations. We ask the investigators to spend hours, weeks, and even months conducting deep investigations and casework so that they can hold accountable those people who choose to steal a sense of safety and security from our community. Already this year, our officers have taken more than 280 guns off the streets of Minneapolis. I would be remiss if I didn't also point out the great work of our civilian staff members. They do outstanding work in a wide range of services, including responding to crime scenes, 309 so far this year, processing evidence, conducting crime analysis, along with just a wide variety of other things to support the Minneapolis Police Department as well as the community. I'm grateful for their work. It is also with deep appreciation that we say thank you to our state partners. All the work and help that they will be doing supporting the Minneapolis Police Department as well as the community members is that really coming at a critical time for all of us. They will be providing high quality law enforcement service to the community. Our partnerships with all sorts of different law enforcement agencies have always been incredibly valuable for us. We're fortunate to have both the State Patrol and the BCA working closely with us this summer. The collaboration allows for support from these two agencies in the way of high visibility patrols and investigative support for violent crime casework. The community and businesses have requested additional support and resources, and the state will be able to provide that additional support. I also want to take a moment and say these partnerships really, along with the help and fine work of all of our community members, is going to be incredibly valuable for the Minneapolis Police Department. We are grateful for the people that continue to come forward and provide us with great support and support to their neighbors and businesses. The Minneapolis Police Department, along with our state and federal partners, all understand that behind every single call for service, behind every single report that is written, it's not a statistic, right? It's a community member, it's a parent, it's a friend, it's a coworker, and we have to continue to do everything we possibly can to bring their situations to light and to provide a sense of justice for all of them. So thank you to all of our partners, including our community members that are here today, for all that you have done and all that you will continue to do throughout the summer months. As an interim chief, I always likes to say the entire community benefits when we join together to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Waite. As you pointed out, These partnerships are really crucial right now, and the work that our police officers do on a daily basis is critical, and it is so deeply appreciated. It's their bravery going into some of these really difficult situations, doing a really difficult job that provides the service that people need, the service that people are asking for. I want to just give a particular thank you to them and let them know how much we appreciate all of the work that they do every single day. Next up, we're going to have Donna Nesty, who's with the Phillips Community Safety Coalition, who's been a Phillips resident for 27 years and can provide a few words.
Spell it? Neste. So my name is Donna Nesty, and I was very excited to read about the negotiations between the state and the city for a possible consent decree. Yet, during the campaign, I felt the palpable fear from my black and brown neighbors at the possibility of the decrease in numbers of our police force. So also, I was excited about hearing that the city and the state will be working together to decrease crime in my neighborhood, which has really been horrendous. And I feel that we can hold both possibilities in reality, and we must.
Thank you, Donna. And next up, I'm proud to introduce Winter Simpson, Block Club lead from 39th and Bryant, the Weber-Camden resident in North Minneapolis. We're really proud to have you here.
Hi, I'm Winter Simpson, Block Club for 39th and Bryant White, as he said. Winter, W-Y-N-T-E-R. Last name is Simpson, S-I-M-P-S-O-N. And just basically just here to speak about a couple of things for the safety of the community, 39th and Bryant, all around North Minneapolis, basically around the Minnesota period. We are going through a lot, as we can see. There's a need for change, but one person can't all have the answers. I believe it's taking the opportunity for everyone all to come together to find solutions, to set up a plan for community actions for our youth, to set up and rebuild community centers, as well as civilians for the community. And just to make it one again, to make it a North Minneapolis again, to be one as people, come together, create something, and just be who we are, who we've been. So yeah, and I think that that's mainly what I feel that we can do to make it a safe and better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Winter, and with that, we'll open it to questions that you might have.
Mayor, Matt Sendig with NPR News. I understand that the joint powers agreement with the State Patrol calls for 4 troopers in 2 squads working 3 days a week in 4-hour shifts, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Reading it yesterday. Do you hope to expand beyond that?
Yes, so to be clear, the agreement calls for, and you got it right, but there's a little bit of additional detail there. So the agreement calls for us receiving some additional assistance from state troopers on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from around 4 p.m. until 12 a.m. There would be 4 officers, up to 4 officers working in those shifts. There's 2 shifts, by the way, and so it would be some assistance predominantly in the corridor of West Broadway from around Lyndale to Penn, as well as on the corridor and surrounding neighborhoods over at Lake. So those are the 2 critical pieces. Obviously, we've seen quite a bit of attrition over the last couple of years, and so does this additional assistance make up for the numbers that we've lost? Of course not, but this additional assistance helps quite a bit. And importantly, the help is not limited to those State Patrol officers providing high visibility shifts on those corridors. We're also getting help from the BCA in the form of investigative work. As you all know, when we saw significant attrition from MPD, there were investigative staff that had to be reallocated simply to answering 911 calls. There were units that had to be pushed to just responding to calls for help. And so what this does, and it's critical, is it backfills some of that work. They're experts at the BCA, and they are able to provide that ongoing and embedded assistance so that we're able to investigate crime, and then we're able to make sure we're enforcing the law in that respect.
Mayor, Ben Henry with KCP, maybe Deputy Chief Wade could respond to this as well. What do patrols look like, in those time frames, in those areas of concern, in regards to numbers? If you can share specifics, is it in need of dire help right now, which is why you're receiving this? So again, can you share specifics on what patrols look like in those areas?
So if you could rephrase the question, yes, what do they look like?
If you can share numbers in regards to number of squads, number of officers that patrol that area?
Sure. So as I was mentioning, so it would be 4 patrols that will be providing high visibility assistance on the days of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. There's 2 shifts during that time. So in other words, you'd get a high visibility patrol on the North Minneapolis side and then also on the south side for that given time period.
Excuse me, is the question, I'm sorry, Mayor, if I can try and clarify, is the question what do patrols look like now and what will they look like with the additional help? Is that the question?
Correct. What do the current MPD,
Oh, okay.
just MPD right now in regards to those areas over the last few months?
Thank you for your question. It really depends from day to day as far as the number of patrols that we have operating in the area. And certainly it's also impacted by call volume. So, officers are pulled from regular patrol efforts, out on the streets just driving up and down avenues. When a call comes, they're pulled off of that patrol. So having the state patrol out there in those very busy, high-traffic areas, business corridors, on a regular basis, will be able to provide that sustainability during the busiest times of the day.
Hi, Charmaine Arrow, Care 11. I have just a question about the timetable of this partnership, and also going along with both of your questions. When it comes to hotspots and needing to move those resources around, are you guys flexible with that, or are they in a certain area? 2-part question, sorry.
So the time frame for the contract itself runs through late 2023. However, the dollar figure on, there's 2 respective contracts, it's $400,000 is the total dollar figure that we have with the Department of Public Safety, the State Patrol specifically. And then it's $300,000 with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. Now, of course, the city and I specifically as mayor stand ready to re-up that amount if it is exhausted. We're looking for additional assistance, and like I said, I want to reiterate this, we're really thankful. We're really appreciative of having this partnership. Chief Huffman and I made calls for mutual aid to a number of different surrounding jurisdictions, and the fact that the DPS and the governor stepped up on this is a really big deal. Yeah, thank you.
Mayor Frey, Rex
Yeah.
Chapman, WCCO. You talk about expanding the work of the Office of Violence Prevention and Interrupters. Will any of them be armed with job opportunities, educational opportunities for our young people? I know you've always said we can't police ourselves out of this problem, but what are we doing to engage the young people who seem to be most active in the violence?
Mr. Chapman, I couldn't agree more. We're not going to police our way out of the situation we find ourselves in, and there are so many different causal factors for crime. I mean, it's everything we've been through over the last couple of years, and it shouldn't be a total surprise when you have a global pandemic, when you have a lack of recreational activity, when you have widespread depression, that, yeah, there's an uptick in crime generally, and those are just a few factors that I mentioned there. On top of that, people need jobs. It's not my quote, but I'll use it. One of the best ways to stop a bullet is a job, and so we are providing both through ARPA as well as through our general budget, opportunities for young people specifically to get trained and then get a job at the end. So it's not just about getting the training and then you call it a day. Like, that training needs to lead into an opportunity that they find fulfilling. And so, yes, we have funding that's going to that. We have funding as well that's going to our Office of Violence Prevention in the form of violence interrupters. We've got community support so that we have community members that are intrinsically involved in their neighborhoods, working in a consistent basis to interrupt this cycle of violence. It needs to be multifaceted. Law enforcement and police officers is a part of that strategy, but it's not the only part. There's the announcement that you heard from the U.S. Attorney, Andy Lugar, just the other day. It's having an integrated approach, which we're pushing for through our Office of Community Safety, which we hope to have approved as soon as possible. It's making sure that we've got the right resources that are on the ground responding to people that need help. It's mental health response. It's all the above. And so we're working to make sure that that's managed, that it's integrated properly, and that we're doing everything possible ahead of these difficult summer months to make sure that people in our city are safe. And so this can be a nose-up moment here. It's a nose-up moment because you have jurisdictions that are working together around this very tough issue.
Mayor Matt Sedgwick again with NPR News. Are you going to be at the meetings starting next week about the consent decree with the state? And whether you are or not, what would you like to see in such an agreement?
I will answer that question. I just want to make sure we get the others done first, I promise. Any other questions about this issue, and then I'll jump to that.
John Walz, Care 11. As a 20-year resident of North Minneapolis, this is great, but I only hear 4 state troopers. That's it. We have so much going on, not only on Broadway, but we have all the property crimes, right? Catalytic converters, break-ins, and things like that. And when you call the police, they prioritize your call, right? You could wait 2 hours, 3 hours. So, I mean, as a resident, this is great, but it's not enough. Yeah. Did you ask for more, or, I mean, you were just happy to take what the State Patrol could give you, or?
Yeah, it's a fair question coming from, especially coming from a resident of North Minneapolis, and thank you for it. Nobody's arguing here that the additional assistance that we're getting, that we're very appreciative of, is enough to fully tackle the issue. I mean, as you know, our police department is down significantly in terms of numbers, and will this alone solve the problem? No, of course not, but it'll help. We're appreciative of the assistance, and when you've got a nationwide shortage of candidates to become police officers, we need to be working together, and this is a sign, certainly, that we are.
Mayor Fryman, Henry again with KCP. Was it hard to reach this agreement with the state in regards of getting out? Resources are stretched thin, I think it's safe to say, around agencies across the state. Was it a difficult agreement to reach to get some help?
Of course, resources are stretched thin, but I believe that you've got a number of different jurisdictions that are committed to the underlying cause. And so, yeah, we worked, for a period of time to make sure that we were able to have the right resources we need. And of course, the State Patrol has analyses that they need to conduct themselves. And ultimately, we arrived at this figure, and we're really appreciative of the help.
Real quickly, I think we're going to get one last question over here, and then Matt will get to your question as well. And then after that, we're going to call it.
Well, Lloyd from WCCO Radio. I have a question for you, Mayor, but maybe Councilmember Vitak can answer it too. I was just wondering, she mentioned the hot spots in North Minneapolis, so I just wanted to know from her what you consider those hot spots to be.
Oh, So Broadway, I would consider a hotspot. Lowry Avenue, in particular, around like the Logan Morgan area, Lindale, on like 40th in Lindale. I'm familiar with North Side hotspots, just so you know. I know that there's some challenges down Lake Street also, and then 36 and Penn in my ward. Okay.
You ask it again, just so I remember.
Yeah, I was asking about the consent decree. I know that the state and the city attorney are expected to meet beginning Monday to hammer out an agreement to oversee MPD. Are you going to be at those meetings? And regardless of whether you are or not, what would you like to see in a consent decree with the state?
So I don't have all the details yet as far as the attendees, nor do we have the schedule set as far as I know. We received a letter, as you know, from the state and the MDHR last night or yesterday afternoon. And we're still working through some of the due diligence with our attorneys just to make sure that we've got all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You know, a consent decree is not only something I'm open to, but something I'm supportive of. That being said, we want to make sure that there is clarity of the goals that we are working for, that there's consistency in the measures that could ultimately be adopted, and that we don't have dueling consent decrees that are providing multiple monitors, multiple administrators, and lacking clear criteria as to what we need to hit. So again, let's make sure that we have accountability in this document. Let's make sure that the policies that we're pushing for are both stringent and we can achieve them. And at the same time, you know, we want to make sure that we're not moving forward in a way that would subject us to many consent decrees and many administrators or monitors at the same time.
And real quickly,
Yeah,
is the
please.
September 1st deadline, timeframe, I don't know if it's a deadline exactly, is that something that the city will be able to meet?
You know, I think we should be getting to work immediately on these reforms. I think that we view the MDHR as well as the DOJ as a partner in getting the long-standing and permanent accountability measures in place within our police department that, you know, I don't think any mayor or chief has been able to achieve for now decades. We've had investigations before. Other cities have seen consent decrees before. We want to make sure that we get this right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.